Hey everybody, Nate Jomaa with Space Coast Real Estate Spotlight, and I am here with special guests Peter and Penny, both with Denovo Realty. And today we are going to be talking to Peter about the Coastal Collection Club. He is our real estate partner for Q2 2024, and we're excited to learn a little bit more about his business and how he got started. Peter loves this intro. It's one of his favorite things. Sometimes I watch him play it on replay several times before we even record. He just wants to watch it again and again. Really gets him going.
I love it.
I can
I
tell.
absolutely love it.
I can tell.
Penny loves it too.
Penny loves it.
Yeah.
So, Peter, we wanted to talk to you about being part of the Coastal Collective Club, which is an elite organization here on the Space Coast of real estate agents, insurance partners, just anybody that's really a part of the real estate environment and the things that you bring to the table that make this the best place in the world to live. So, I want to start by asking you a little bit about your journey into the real estate industry. Like, what sparked your interest and passion for being in real estate?
So I've always had a passion and an interest in real estate. Um, right out of college, I went into the family business. I owned a restaurant with my brother and did that for almost 20 years. But while I was doing that, I had always had an interest for real estate and potential real estate investments. And it was something that always was in the back of my mind of something I would do. Um, I sold my shares of the diner and moved down here in 2015. And the first job opportunity I was given was to potentially buy three White Girt Realty franchises. And I was going to be doing that with a friend of mine from New Jersey and his father who lived down here. And came close to doing it. I just felt like at the time I wasn't even licensed. So although I had a lot of interest in it and wanted to do it, I felt before I should actually own a real estate brokerage, I should learn more about how to actually do the job. A lot of people feel they know everything there is to know, but until you actually write your first contract and do it a lot, maybe anywhere from 1 to 100 times,
Mhm.
um, you don't know anything. So yeah, I mean, something I had always wanted to do. Almost got into it at one point. Decided to open up another business while I was down here, and ended up selling that because of a divorce situation. And that's when I finally did make the journey into real estate.
So, since you've been in real estate over the last couple of years, you've obviously seen that it's not something, and you mentioned this as you were talking, it's not something that the average person can just jump into, make a bunch of money. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into not just getting ready to sell real estate, but being successful in selling it.
Yeah.
So, what key experiences or mentors have shaped your career and contributed toward your success?
Um, Great question, and I definitely have a list of people that I'd like to thank. Besides the academy.
Thank you.
um, no, I would definitely say my first broker, Dave Curry. Great man, and I learned a lot from him. While I was at his brokerage, Curry Kirshner, I immediately latched on to Elliot Grozan, and he was probably my first real mentor. And anytime I had a question about, hey, how do I, write this? How do I put this in here? Or that sort of thing. He was my go-to. Him and Corey Craigie. Um, and so yeah, those three specifically, and especially Corey, Dave, and Elliot. And then after that, my time at Compass was, um, I think, essential to the realtor I am now, working with under Dwayne Carpenter and Kirk Kessel. I can't stress enough how much I learned about listings
Mhm.
and how to do them the right way and how to communicate your value through Dwayne, who there's a reason why he's number one. The way he speaks and explains things is simple, but yet
Sure.
um, really intelligent, and I definitely learned a lot from him and Kirk. And then I'm with Garrett Bell now at Denovo, and I had wanted to work with Garrett pretty much from the time he opened his doors 4 years ago. I was just like, this is a cool, small beachside brokerage, but it's got the reach of some of the big franchises. Um, and it's just the vibe I had always looked for, and the type of person I had always wanted to work with, and that's Garrett. So I definitely would be remiss if I didn't say anything nice and say Garrett's taught me a lot too. And our short time together.
Absolutely. So the brokers that you've mentioned that you've worked with, all really amazing brokers, all integral parts of what made you
Yes.
successful real estate agent that you are today. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for them as well. But you also found a way to kind of carve your own niche without following exactly what they do, right? So you probably took some
Hmm.
experiences and some learning opportunities from each of them and made them your own. So what do you consider your greatest strengths or unique qualities that set you apart from other agents that have worked with these brokers as well?
Yeah, that's great way to frame the question because it's true. There's plenty of things I learned from all those guys, but I don't do things exactly like them. And I am definitely my own man. I have my own way of doing things, way of thinking, um, and I'm a very relationship-driven person, as uh, as opposed to being an analytical person. And I would say my sphere of influence and the way I maintain that sphere um, is probably my greatest strength. You know?
Yeah. So have you found that leveraging your sphere of influence has been essential in you being able to grow as quickly as you have?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, each year as my business grows, um, last year I did 24 transactions and right around 10 million. Um, each year that it grows, I would still say that almost 90% of my business is just from sphere of influence and referrals. Yeah. Yeah.
Penny loves it.
Yeah.
I don't.
And who wouldn't want to work with a realtor with such a cute little doggy? Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Probably the first doggy that's been on a podcast on the Space Coast, and who knows how long.
Yes.
Yeah. So um, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about your approach to business. So, what would you say is your approach with working with clients? Like, what values, what principles, what things kind of guide those interactions for you?
Well, I like to tell them that I'm always available. So, when you're buying a home, I had this conversation this morning with somebody, and for us, because we're in the business and we do it all the time, we kind of forget that it's a very scary thing for
Oh
for,
yeah,
for most people.
yeah,
And you know, I I just when I buy my own personal properties or sell my own personal properties now, I don't even think twice about it. It's just whatever. But I do know, especially just recently, I worked with a first-time home buyer, how scary it can be, and it reminds me sometimes that you have to be able to be with them and actually sometimes really hold their hand throughout the whole process and get them through the process without being nervous. So, an overabundance of communication, availability, and just honesty and integrity. Those are the key elements of what I could give to a client and do give.
I think the way that you phrase that is perfect
Yeah,
because I worked with you personally, and you absolutely brought more to the table than I even expected. And I am in the industry, so like I
sure.
know what to expect.
Right.
But like your level of communication and what you did was a step above, I would say. So
Sure.
and we've talked about this,
Yeah,
but
it's a balancing act because you want to make sure everybody knows everything that's going on. Um, but they don't need to know like if you have like a disagreement with the other realtor and
right,
or something, you don't have to show every little bit of the process,
sure,
how the sausage is made.
exactly. I like
I mean,
that.
you have to let them know anything that they need as far as a fiduciary concern goes. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we do behind the scenes to get the from offer to closing, and I mean, I try and shield my clients from that as much as possible.
Right.
While making it a fun.
Sure.
not stressful process.
Sure. Yeah. So on the real estate side, the sales side of things, I think that's more exciting for the buyers than getting a mortgage. So
Sure, maybe.
it's yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, nobody wants to saddle themselves with debt,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
I've learned also to try to make sure that I'm keeping it exciting and trying to keep the eye on the prize, if you will, versus like, hey, I need you to sign all these documents. Hey, your payment's going to be this.
right.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that you do that's great. So, can you share a story with us about maybe a challenging situation that you had and how you overcame that? Because I know you're very skilled at being able to keep the positive face and the fun side of it
Sure.
without talking about like you said, how the
Yeah,
sausage is made.
right. The bad stuff or the
Yeah,
scary stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's times where, um, I mean, I'll just tell you my own personal. I sold my condo 2 years ago and bought this place that we're in right now, and I was under contract with a home sale contingency, which at the time was not an easy thing to get accepted because people just didn't they could just say no to that because the next day they'd get an offer without the home
right.
sale contingency. So I had this home sale contingency. I was smart enough to put the closing date maybe like 2 or 3 weeks out later than I would have needed it. I was already under contract, but the deal fell through a week later. But because I was doing my work as a realtor, I already had two or three other offers ready to go, and I was able to do a seamless transition to that. This all happened in the course of maybe 4 or 5 hours. It was a stressful 4 or 5 hours, but it got done.
Yeah,
And then I called the listing agent, who was also the owner of this unit, and I said, "Hey, this is what just happened. Everything's still good, but I just wanted to let you know that this is this is where we are right now, and everything's still gonna be fine."
yeah.
You know,
Uh, That's crazy considering that was your own personal sale and purchase.
right?
Right.
But it happens. It's happened with other people too. But I rather speak to my own
Sure.
rather than put anybody else's like
Yeah.
problems out there. But that sort of thing can happen, and you need an agent that one will be cool and calm under that pressure because uh, contracts do fall out.
Hmm.
For whatever reason, maybe the inspection didn't go quite right. Maybe they got cold feet, or maybe they just didn't get financing,
Yeah.
or the house didn't appraise and now they want out. These are all things that can happen, and we just need to be able to pivot quickly and be able to maneuver and still get the job done.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what do you find most rewarding about selling real estate in the Space Coast real estate market?
Well, I love this area. I'm passionate about this area. There are people that live here, and I don't think know just how good they have
Right.
it. I'm not a local, like so to speak. I've been here for 10 years. I know the area like the back of my hand now because as a realtor, I've been pretty much everywhere. Um, but I also was somebody that lived up north and longed to live in Florida, and I always loved Brevard and wanted to live here. And it's funny when I meet people that are locals that have been here their whole life, and they badmouth it or trash it,
Right.
or they're like, "There's nothing to do here. There's nowhere good to eat." And I think that's just silly because this is an amazing area.
Yeah.
We are close to Orlando. We are close to Miami. We're close to Fort Lauderdale. We're close to St. Augustine and Jacksonville. We're I live 15 minutes from the beach, but I'm still inland enough where I don't have to worry about a hurricane. Um, the place we're in, my home here is Fortress. It's all hurricane impact windows. I didn't leave the last two hurricanes. Um, So I have a passion and love for this place that I think sometimes the locals do not.
Yeah.
And I always laugh when somebody's like, "Well, I was born and raised in Brevard." I was like, "Yeah, and you probably take it for granted too." You know?
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I've lived here since I was 9, which is centuries ago,
Yeah,
and I'm starting to get a little bit of that. The novelty's worn off, like a little bit of the "Hey, I don't like being here" kind of stuff sometimes, and then I'm like, "Hold on, like first of all, I have a thriving business here. Like things are really well,
yeah,
things are going really well, things are great.
mhm,
I've been here a long time. I have tons of friends. I have great partners in business
yeah,
and great friends like you. And like, if I move somewhere else, I have to start over. Why?
right,
Why would I want to do that?
right,
So yeah, I totally get it,
mhm,
but it quickly passes.
yeah. I mean, somebody, a new somebody, there's a new resident that I'm friends with, and somebody told them that there was nowhere good to eat when they moved here. And
That's
since
crazy.
then, I've given them like a ton of recommendations,
Sure.
and every time they go there, they're like, "This place is more amazing than the last that you suggested." I can't believe that I was told there's nowhere to good to eat because there are a million amazing restaurants.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what advice would you give to somebody that's looking to sell a home and move to this area, or somebody that's maybe already living here and needs to buy in this area? What advice would you give to them in getting ready to do that?
Well, it depends on each scenario is a little different and maybe where they're coming from. I mean, if they're from out of state, I've run into a few scenarios where somebody from out of state has made the decision. Yes, I want to sell my New York, New Jersey, Connecticut home or whatever.
Best pizza.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And then move to Florida, but they just don't know where sometimes. And of course, what they've always known is maybe they were going to Fort Lauderdale or Miami to visit their grandparents back in the day, or such and such place, or whatever. But they don't always know that Brevard County is here, and
Hmm.
we are an amazing place to live. And I always love to have that conversation with somebody new because I want them to know that yeah, you can find something really incredible here, and still a lot cheaper and more affordable than I like the word cheaper. I'd say more affordable than like let's say Fort Lauderdale or Boca Raton.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tell Penny that all the time. Right, Penny?
Where would you like to live, Penny?
Penny wants to go wherever I
Okay.
go. As far as somebody that lives here in Brevard and is looking for a new place to live, again, that depends on their situation. Do they have young kids? Are they empty nesters? What do they plan on living in the home for more than 5 7 years? These are all things that would go into how I would advise.
Yeah.
So I that's a really just the wide range on the spectrum of how I would answer
Yeah. Let's talk about the Coastal Collective Club and what it means to you to be recognized as being part of the Coastal Collective Club and our inaugural real estate inductee, if you will.
Well, it's an honor. I'm very grateful. I think it's a great idea to highlight and feature industry leaders. And I can't think of somebody better than you to be doing that because you know so many people. You're very connected and plugged in, for lack of a better word, to the community, whether it's a lender or a title company or a realtor. Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy that you're doing it, and I'm happy to be a part of it, and especially honored to be the first realtor.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. It's awesome. I agree with you that this is a great opportunity for us in the industry to be able to collaborate together and to be a collective and to just help each other become better at what we do because we form these teams, these partnerships.
Yeah.
You work with the same real estate agents again and again as a lender. You work with the same title companies, the same home inspectors, insurance agents. So it's important that we have this synergy and that we do work together and mingle, if you will.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, what are some aspirations for your future, professionally and personally? What are some things that you want to get done here?
Well, I want to continue growing my business. I have an idea of what my ceiling would be, and when I say that, I mean a level of growth to where I can still do this without hiring assistants and extra agents under me, and none of that stuff appeals to me. I like to handle all my clients myself, and as busy as I am and was last year and this year, I just feel like that I'm at a level where I can do it. I can add to it a bit, but probably not a lot more. I'm very happy where I'm at. I know that maybe some people would think I'm crazy for saying that, but I don't want to get. It's like Jerry Maguire. When you get too big, you lose some of the boutique feeling
Hmm.
that he wanted to give to his clients.
Sure.
Less clients, better relationships. That
Absolutely.
was what he was preaching in his mission statement.
Yeah. Speaking of preaching, that's why Jesus only had 12 disciples. He wanted to be able to go really deep with 12 guys. How do you plan to continue to make a positive impact on the Space Coast community and in the real estate industry as a whole?
Sure. Well, there's definitely always room for improvement. I am a firm believer of that. Just because I'm doing well, or as a realtor, or as a friend, or as a community leader, I can always be better. I can definitely volunteer more of my time to certain causes, and I definitely want to do more of that. I can definitely be volunteering more of my time to some of my kids' activities. I've started doing that. I've tried not to miss any of their like field trips or like sporting events. And maybe last year I coached. That was 2 years ago, rather. I coached one of the teams, so maybe get more into that a
Hmm.
little bit. Anything I can do to help the community as a whole, I'm all about it. I remember when I was younger, the first time I heard the term "it takes a village," I kind of thought it was stupid, if we're keeping it real. But as I've gotten older and I've had kids, it really does. I mean,
Yeah,
you need good community leaders, you need good people, good family, good friends to all help and raise and build a good community. So
for
I
sure.
want to be part of the positive.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely see you doing that. You're a very positive person. You like to have fun.
Hmm.
You like to bring a little bit of fun and humor in no matter what you're doing, whether you're selling real estate or if
Sure.
we're just going out to dinner or whatever. It's always a positive experience, but it's always some fun.
Sure. I like
So
to make everybody laugh,
absolutely.
make everybody have fun. The best compliment in a long time I've received was a few weeks ago from an agent at Denovo, and she asked me, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing good." And she laughed and smiled, and she goes, "Are you ever bad?" Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I said, "I try not to be. If I am having a bad day, I try not to let everybody else
Right.
feel it."
Well, that's what makes you part of the Coastal Collective Club because you definitely embody the positivity and the just the coastal vibe that we want to be assimilated with.
Right.
So, in closing, Peter, I do want to thank you again for taking the time to chat with us today. Thanks for inviting me into your home and talking to us about your business, about how you got into real estate and what your plans are for the future. And we're excited to have you as part of the Coastal Collective. So, thanks so much.
Penny and I thank you as well.
All right. Thanks, Penny.